Hello everybody, this is Mo, the Gnostic warrior, the founder of the Gnostics, coming to you mediating between the left and right sides of your brains, brothers and sisters around the world, the light above my head shining, hopefully living in my higher nature, my spiritual self, and killing the dragon, that serpent, that demonic fungi that rules the world, right? So today I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit dear to the dark side of my heart. And it kind of relates to a lot of the things that I've been talking about here in the satanic state of America, as long as I could close my gate here and I don't get hit by any of these trucks that are coming by. So the subject of this video today and this walk and talk is suicide. Why people decide to pull the kill switch on this fake show or on the fake lights, right, of the world. A lot of people talk on this subject of suicide and death, and they like to judge people, you know, from their perches, and, you know, people that don't have the gnosis, they don't have the experience. And some of them have never even thought about suicide. Some have thought about suicide. Some people like myself have tried to take their own lives. The dark night of the soul. It's something that you really can't explain until you're that person put in that position with the ultimate choice. And then some of us have stepped over the line and pulled that switch, hoping to leave this world that has caused us so much pain, so much misery. And I wanted to talk about some people that have committed suicide recently, and one of these people is very important to me, meaning that he is someone I looked somewhat up to with the life that he was leading. It seemed to be a life meant for princes almost, right? And I'm talking about Anthony Bourdain, the host and star of CNN's Parts Unknown, one of my favorite TV shows, one of the few, I believe, true TV shows out there showing the reality of cultures and people around the world, where we all share in one common thing, and that's food. The love of food, right? We gotta have food to live and energy, right? What people don't understand is the persona we see, right? The persona meaning the mask, right? Persona comes from the word mask. It means mask, to put on a mask. So the mask, the person under the mask of Anthony Bourdain that we've seen, we really didn't know that person, right? He was just someone, this image, this digital image portrayed on TV. But most of us never got to know his heart, even though he claimed to tell the truth and everything. I believe that there was some things that Anthony Bourdain kept to himself. And I believe that he was unhappy. And this is what a lot of people don't understand, is why would people that seem to have so much, all the money in the world, traveling everywhere, beautiful family, a wife, a child, and then eventually through the pursuits of the world and a career, this world, this family it gets destroyed. You know, we're off, right, doing our own thing. In Anthony Bourdain's case, he was out, I think he had quoted saying he was 250 days a year, he was traveling around the world to film his show. 250 days a year that he was away from his wife and his daughter to go pursue, in my opinion, somewhat of a selfish lifestyle. And please keep in mind that you're talking to someone who A, has lived a selfish lifestyle, that B, has went through a divorce, and C, someone that has tried to commit suicide as well. I was taking a look at Anthony's life, kind of up the years leading up to now, to his suicide, and kind of what happened. And what I saw is that there was a divorce. I believe it was 2016. He had divorced his wife, and he made some comments about his daughter and about this divorce in the media, right, in the fake media. And he was talking about how his daughter had grown up essentially without him, and that he kind of jokingly said that she was used to it. He was lying. Meaning, she was not used to it. I'm sure she wasn't happy to not have her father there 250 days a year, to grow up, to be 11 years old, to not know her father other than what she sees on TV. How happy do you think that made her? And the next question is, how happy do you think that made him, Anthony Bourdain? I think he had a heart. I think he wasn't some cold person just out there to make money and film TV shows. I think the world, the lifestyle that he was living, which I believe is the world, the fake world, right? It's the world of the riches, of fame, of status, of money, power, wealth. This is the world that Yaldabaoth rules, who the Christians call Satan, right? The Prince of Darkness. This is his world. And that's what people don't seem to get. And even the Gnostics, when you talk like that, the modern Gnostics today and the people that sometimes come across my video, they think like I'm trying to be a preacher or some secret Jesuit or something. But they fail to realize that the Gnostic teachings were all about the stuff that I talk about often in these videos. And that was the problem with Anthony Bourdain, and the problem with myself when I tried to take my life. At the time, I was going through a divorce with my ex-wife, a pretty rough one, and I thought it was what I wanted. I thought, hey, I wanted to leave. I wanted to go out on my own. I was done kind of with this relationship. She was done. But I was terribly unhappy with everything that had happened and everything that went down. I was unhappy that my marriage was breaking up and I wasn't going to be with my children anymore. It was like my world, my heart was being torn, not just in two, but just in several pieces. And I did it to myself. And I was the direct cause of this divorce, from my selfish lifestyle, from my selfish choices. And of course, the other things that happened as a result of these choices was having a relationship with someone that was torn, that was tattered, that was ripped to pieces, that was abused, that was stompled and trampled upon, to the point that it was unrecoverable, irrevocable. The sins that I committed couldn't be washed away no matter how many times I repented, because the damage that I had done left a wreckage all behind me. And I had to live with this wreckage. I had to live with all the pain that I caused all the people that I loved. And that pain, me being someone having a heart and finally connecting in my sorrow and my pain and my misery to that heart, to realize that I was one sinning, evil person. And the choices that I was making was causing destruction and chaos in the people I loved lives. And then it got to the point where I was so unhappy with myself, I just started drinking more and more alcohol, and then slowly that resulted into doing drugs again in my 30s, my early 30s. I had stopped for several years, went to jail, and then got out in my 20s, mid-20s, and straightened up. And then I went back on the spirits, right? The dark spirits, Yaldabaoth juice, the satanic juice, right? The spirits that darken us. What Anthony Bourdain and many, many people who are depressed or suffer from various mental issues or so forth, they like to use alcohol and drugs to numb themselves. And of course, in the long run, this actually makes things worse, right? We try to make ourselves unconscious to the world with these drugs, with this alcohol. And in turn, when we become conscious, which happens when the drugs or the alcohol wears off, we realize that our world is getting worse and worse. So the only solution is to do more and more, and then you become an addict. I really don't know how and why Anthony decided to kill himself, or if that's the case. You know, there's some tweets that he did on Twitter that were very political. And he was somewhat questioning the narrative that was happening on Twitter in regards to what's going on in the Capitol in Washington, D.C., with Trump, with his lawyer, Cohen. So, you guys got to understand that while he might have committed suicide, there's still the possibility that he was suicided for some of the tweets and things he said because of his following. So I'm not leaving that off the table in regards to Anthony Bourdain, because no one knows really what had happened. I don't know. But this video is about suicide. It's not just about Anthony Bourdain. It's about why people decide to pull the kill switch and end their lives. And I wanted to kind of share my story and then relate it to possibly stories that you know, such as Anthony Bourdain. And another one I wanted to talk about would be Lincoln Park, Chester Bennington, another man who had often left his family and his kids as he traveled around the world to pursue his music career, right? He was idolized by millions of people, fans. He had as much money as he needed and wanted, as many women he probably could have in the world, any drug, anything, any plane, any car, and he decided to kill himself. And the people just, why? Why do these guys do that? It's because they've been living in their lower natures. They've been living in a satanic state. They've been inverted, right? Their souls turned upside down where they become a commodity, and they're truly a soul, a spirit that has value. But the only value people place on them is of their flesh and what money they can make. And I believe as time goes on, these people, these good spirits who have become darkened, start to wake up to the reality of the hell of their lives. And it becomes too late. They're already burning in the flames of the sins of the wreckage that they had created. The pain, the sorrow, the cries, the words play over and over in their heads, over and over and over, like a broken record. No amount of money, no amount of sex, no amount of fans, no amount of accolades, no amount of food, beer, whatever you want to have can squelch this pain, silence these voices that are within our heads when we reach the dark night of the soul. And people who have never been there don't understand what it's like to live to that point where you want to die. It's become so dark within your soul, within your being, that there's no light left to live for. It's a lonely place. Sorry, I'm supposed to be the Gnostic warrior, right? Even warriors cry sometimes. And these tears aren't for myself. They're for everybody that has tried or has committed suicide. And it goes back to what I talk about, the satanic state of America, guys. We live in the land of hell and sin. And it was created this way. We're all convicts. We're all sinners, right? Just go look around right now at the orange movement and what they're doing and what's going to happen to you and I in the land of sinners, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, the hypocrites, Crete, Atlantis. It all ends the same. So, this loneliness that brought these tears up is something that I've felt my whole life. Even when I had everybody around me. Just this, like you were almost like watching a show. You know, your family or what was going on, and it just seemed like you were participating, but almost like you were observing, like you were out of body. And when I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud of, that I believe were sinful, sometimes evil, that's exactly how I felt. I felt like it wasn't me doing what was doing, that person was doing, this flesh, but I was doing it. And as I was doing it, I was in shock. I was in awe. I was scared. And then after the fact, I was sickened, literally sickened by who I became. Every time. Never did I do something in regards to what can be considered a sin or an evil act or whatever in life and been happy about it or been joyful about it. Every single time my heart felt like a needle was stuck in it, a pain. look in the mirror at myself, just disgusted at who I was, and just kept walking forward in the land of sin, thinking this is just the way it's done here. And I just kept doing it and doing it. And that eventually led to me making mistakes, breaking the law. It led to me cheating on my first girlfriend, which led to a whole series of adulterous relationships. And each and every single time that I've slept with a woman where there was no love in my heart for that person, I felt like a piece of shit. Human scum. Just like a dog, just so I could hump that, and get off, right? And then once you ejaculate your light, your essence, your mana, right, onto the floor and to some women who you could care less about, just so you can get off, right? Your lower nature, your devilish self. Felt like a devil. And then all these sins, all this evil life, all these devilish ways, they lead to darkness. They lead to pain. They lead to broken relationships. They lead to lies and more lies, because everybody's a liar in this world, right? All Americans are liars. I see it every day out there. Even the people that claim to tell the truth are living a lie, and they don't even know it. Was Anthony Bourdain living a lie? I think he was. I think he was unhappy with himself and the choices he was making. You could see pictures of him up until literally the past few years, and then he just seemed to age and get older over the last 3 years, just tremendously. He had a new girlfriend who was allegedly young and hot, right? But it didn't matter, allegedly, if he did take his life. Chester Bennington, Lincoln Park, again, another celebrity who has taken his life recently. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I believe music plays a role in this. And this goes back actually to my teachings on the parasitic fungi, the demonic fungi that are taking over the world, right? This is in relation to what the Gnostics had called the counterfeit spirit, the spirit that was sent by the archons and Yaldabaoth to darken our souls and take the light and make us ignorant, right? To make us have ignosis.
Messages, I will be there in about 20 minutes.
You see, if we don't have knowledge of ourselves, if we don't have gnosis, and we go out there in this satanic kingdom where Yaldabaoth and the archons rule, right? Where there's all types of traps and snares. If we don't have knowledge coming into this life about all the things that I talk about, we're open game. For it said, my people were destroyed for their lack of knowledge. Gnosis saves, guys. Gnosticism is the way. And the Christians have it right when they talk about their gnosis. There's two different kinds of gnosis. There's the gnosis of the spiritual, then there's the gnosis of the world, the knowledge of the world, right? The making of the things with your hands. And we're forced to be dual creatures, right? We're slaves. We are forced to wear a hat or a role based on this world in order to support our families, in order to make that fiat fake currency, to give to Caesar what is Caesar's, right? And that's the key, I think, to a lot of men And even women that have killed themselves. Is what are you doing for that fiat currency, for that lifestyle that you're living? What are you giving in exchange for it? Your soul, your heart, your family, your life? Are you placing your soul on the sacrificial altar to the people, the parasites out there, so they can get a piece of you, right? It's always been that way. The key is to serve the people, bring light to the parasites right out there to awaken themselves to who they are and to hopefully get them on the right path and yourself on the right path without getting eaten alive. Easier said than done, right, folks? As I said before in another video, liberalism leads to nihilism. You guys just have not done your history, right? I grew up liberal. I mean, I live in the satanic state of America. Everything goes here, guys. Everything goes here. I played in hell with all the demons all my life. And I don't want to have nothing to do with them, folks. I'm done. I'm off that path. I'm on my way. If that means me being alone, so mote it be. This is the great work, guys. The great work of the soul. The great test of your character. Who are you? Are you a devil? Are you an evil person? Are you a person, a liar, a cheater, a thief, a robber? Or would you like to be a man of God, of light, of love? And touch the people around you and make a difference. Doesn't mean you got to be a weakling. Doesn't mean that you can't protect yourself and your family. It doesn't mean that you can't know martial arts. It doesn't mean that you can't have tattoos. This is just our flesh, our skin. This means nothing. What are you inside? That's going to be the big question, guys, as we move on to end, as I say all the time, the sixth age. We're in the apocalypse, lifting the veil, right? The time is at hand. The question, what side will you sit on? The right side or the left side? Or you walk the middle path? The path of reason, the path of logic, the middle path, the medium path, mediator, Jesus Christ, right? That's the path of Jesus, right? He doesn't get swayed by the left or the right side of the brain or their demonic representatives, whether they be the Republicans or the Democrats, right? Jesus walks his path, the middle path, right? He's a son of God, not a son of Satan. It's interesting in regards to Satan, the fallen cherub, the first Gnostic, the last Gnostic, Simon, one of my ancestors. Some of these revelations will be coming out as the years go by. But it's an interesting world that we live in, to know that Gnosticism is at the root of all these religions. Gnosticism is at the root of Freemasonry, the G for Gnosis, right? A lot of Freemasons and people don't know that, but they will as time goes on, right? So that's the key, guys, is to connect with your own gnosis, your own heart, and your true path. And to live by your heart, right? Not by your lower self, by your loins, right? By your heart. To make all decisions with your heart, with your mind. To be centered. To have wisdom, right? We could study knowledge all day, but it doesn't mean we're wise. It's what are we doing with that knowledge? Are we walking the walk, talking the talk? You know, or are we just talking out the side of our neck on Facebook and the internet all day? I don't know about you, but I'm interested in walking the walk and talking the talk, and that's what I believe being a Gnostic warrior is all about. It's about the people that are actually doing things. It's about the people around the world that are taking this knowledge, this gnosis, and actually creating a better world, whether that be for themselves, which I believe if all of us did that, we would have a much better world than we have today, and then taking it to their families and their children, and then into their communities. I think this is how it's done. You know, and this is the only way that if we choose to have heaven on earth someday, to build Solomon's temple, right, for the wise king to rule, this is the only way. Liberalism's gonna die, guys, right? Conservatism's gonna eat it up, and then liberalism, and they're gonna eat each other. And then the guys with reason and logic in the middle, the sons of God, will be the ones that rule, right? Because they have the true wisdom, the true knowledge, the true gnosis to lead their brothers and their sisters, right? Right now, all we got's devils leading us, right? A bunch of fat, obese parasites, and everywhere I go, and it's they don't even know it. These people are controlled by their inner demonic parasite, right? The hive mind, just eat, grow, get money, right? Fill the coffers, fill the tummy, right? Fill the loins with cum and sex, and get women, be a Harvey Beastly Weinstein. That's why people commit suicide, is because our world is ran by fucking demons and pigs. The very demons and pigs, I'm not saying everybody. This isn't a blanket statement. But we know, you and I who have lived in the satanic state of America, a lot of our politicians are nothing but parasitical creatures with a title and a hefty damn paycheck. Sending us into oblivion, right? It's got to end, folks, or this country will end. But hey, empires weren't made to last, they were made to fall. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for this liberal shit and this satanic kingdom to fall. Hopefully we could build something better. Death to this world. And when I say death to this world, I mean this bullshit and all these